Oh, yeah. Okay, so now I think I have sound. All right. I didn't have sound. I think I must have I know. Peter Freitas. Thanks, Peter. I think I have a faulty port in the back of my computer because it was plugged in. The light was on. So here's my microphone. The light was on, but I wasn't getting any sound. I mean, the computer was telling me I wasn't getting any sound, so I knew I wasn't. It wasn't. Oh well, we have to wait for other people in the class to get in class anyway. They're all down the hall talking and wasting their time getting into class, so we can wait a few minutes. Anyway, so I think we better start. We're already late. Well, we're 4 minutes late. That's not too bad. So today I want to do a kind of special program about a new person receiving dreams, and this is Amanda Freitas, I think her name is. Well, let me show you her picture. I showed it this morning. A very attractive young lady, as you can see. And the reason I show her face is because I never showed Dana Coverstone's face, because I think there's a meaning to it as far as this dream goes. In other words, the Lord tells her in the dream that she represents the church. Well, in Bible prophecy, the remnant church and Mary are both represented by the woman. In Revelation, for example, in Revelation, the woman who flees into the desert represents the church. The woman who is in labor refers to Mary, who was giving birth to the Protestants, the remnant Protestants. So, therefore, the woman, Amanda, is representing both Mary and the church. And it's interesting. I claim that Amanda is found also in, let me see. Okay, Peter Preen. In Kim Clement's prophecy. Remember in Kim Clement's prophecy about Esther? How did he describe Esther? He said she was beautiful. She had large eyes, and she had round eyes. Well, now I realize that Amanda has a whole lot of makeup on, which emphasizes her eyes. But nonetheless, compared, let's say, for example, to her chin, her eyes are huge. Her eyes are huge, and they are definitely round. I mean, there are many different kinds of eyes out there. And I don't think Kim Clement was saying that Amanda Freitas is the one who's going to save America when he says that Esther is going to save America. Although I do notice that Amanda has like a crown on here. You don't call that a crown. I don't know what you would call that, but it looks like she has stars. That's because she, in my opinion, represents Mary. I don't think Amanda is Esther in Kim Clement's dream. I think Mary is Esther, but I think that Amanda in this dream is representing Mary. And she has a lot of questionable videos on her channel. Amanda does. She calls her channel True Joy Journey, and she has she had a lot of AMSR whispering videos, and I don't know why those are at all popular. But they're idiotic to me, but nonetheless, they're popular. And she has a lot of them. Well, she took down all of those videos on her on her True Joy channel. But she started, I'm not sure, and she calls that one Amandinha Freitas. And she says she's from Brazil. So I presume that her other channel is in Portuguese. And that's all she has on there are these silly AMSR videos, whispers all the time. She must have a lot of time on her hands. I watched one video of her. She says she stays home all day with Jesus, because she doesn't have any children, and she said her husband is at work all day. So I think that she also spends a lot of time with ASMR, which she shouldn't. So, I think we'll find also that there is a relation, kind of a verification in this video of Dana Coverstone's dream, his 2022 Jets dream. So let me start here. I want to get my my screen arranged here, people. Just wait a minute. As you can see, I did not really quite organize this as I should have. In fact, I don't really know what I'm doing. Just a minute, everybody. Okay, now I think I know what I'm doing. So let's look at the very first part of Amanda's dream. I'm going to go through this the same way as I do Dana Coverstone's dream. So here is the first part of her dream. Hello, everyone. It's Amanda here. And today I want to share with you all a dream that I had this past Monday, January the 24th of 2022. And I had this very vivid dream. And as soon as I woke up, I could remember the dream clearly. I also could understand the symbolism of this dream very well. So there's a little difference between Amanda's dream and Dana Coverstone's dream. Dana does not understand his dream at all. And he proves that by trying to explain it. The Lord does not explain to him his dream. The Lord did explain a lot of Amanda's dream to her, but not all of it. That's why I say that this is, I guess you could call it semi-apocalyptic prophecy, but I do think it's true prophecy. And people will tell me, well, how can God give true prophecy through somebody like Amanda, who is obviously into the New Age movement? And I answer and I say, well, God gave true prophecy in the Bible through a pagan king, Nebuchadnezzar. He received true prophetic dreams, which are important for these end times. And in fact, Nebuchadnezzar wrote one of the chapters in the Bible. So God can work through pagans, or in this case, someone who is very much in the New Age movement. Okay, let's look at the next. Now, I don't have this set up quite right. Just a minute. No, I think I've got it right. I forget how I do this. I don't do it. If I did it every day, I wouldn't forget how I do it. Okay, so let's look at the second slide. Just a minute. Here it is. Slide number 2. I dreamed I was in this house. I live in Pennsylvania, very close to Philadelphia. And I was here in this house. And I was upstairs as I am right now. And I heard something climbing the stairs. I thought it was one of my dogs. When I went there to see what's going on upstairs, it was this huge bear. It was way bigger than a black bear and darker than a grizzly brown bear. It was very big, and it was standing up like a person climbing the stairs. So just the fact that she dreams about a big bear does not make it prophetic, although the fact that the bear is in her house and standing on its legs, there's a lot of prophetic imagery there. And she says this bear is huge. But this is the smallest of the 3 bears that she sees. And I think the bear gains in size. I think it's the same bear, but I think it gets bigger because, as we will see, the symbolism that it symbolizes Russia. Okay, let's look at the third slide I've got. Then I locked myself in one of the rooms upstairs. And I figured out that I'm going to run downstairs and try to make the bear run after me to take it out of the house. And that's what I've done. We ran down the stairs, and the bear ran after me, and it came out of the house. Then I was like, how did this bear enter this house? Because I have a fence around it. It's a chain-link fence. And I'm like, of course, in real life, I know that a bear can climb that very easily. But in the dream, I was concerned about it. So we're going to find that all of these elements that we find very early on, the fence, the house, the bear, Amanda herself, they are all symbolic. And the Lord explains most of them, but not all of them. Okay, let's look at slide number 4. So I went around, I think she means my house. My yard in this dream was way bigger. My house was way bigger as well. And when I go around right in the back of the yard, I figured out that instead of chain link, I actually have in one portion, the back portion of my yard, I have a stone wall. And this stone wall has been broken. So it was like crumbling like that. It was halfway broken. There was some chain was open and the wall was broken. So I don't think it's too hard to figure out what's going on here. And she explains later on the bear symbolizes Russia, and the open wall symbolizes our southern border. And it's also interesting, she explains why that it says the house is way larger than normal, and the yard is way larger, and the fence is broken. So all this has symbolism, which the Lord will explain to her towards the end. Oh, here is the fifth slide. Then I'm like, well, the bears came from here. So I ran around the house, waiting on the side, and there I met my husband, who is an American. As we get together, I look around, and there are dozens of bears in this yard. It was way bigger than my real backyard. Lots and lots of bears, and I try to figure out what to do. I see a small bear, and I'm like, I'm going to pick the small bear up, and I'm going to start running because these bears are going to go after me. Well, this is odd. She's got this plague of bears, and she picks a small bear up. And I've been thinking about this. Why in the world would she bother to pick up a small bear? And I've got a feeling that this small bear represents her other interests, her distractions. The small bear is distracting her from the real problem in her life. Or I should say, yeah, in her role as a possible true prophetess. And the little bear, therefore, and to me, symbolizes her ASMR videos, which are totally worthless, of course. Okay, so let's look at the next slide that we've got here. Slide number 6. Then I picked the bear up in my hands. When I picked the bear up, I look, and there is this huge bear, way bigger than the first one. It was huge, and it had 3 things in its mouth. I don't know what it was, but it was 3 things. And it was, let's see, 3 things. And it was on the 4 legs, like doing something with his mouth, with these 3 things in his mouth. And then he stands up. When it is standing up, I freaked out and dropped the baby bear and said, let's run out of here. And then we ran to the shed. Okay, Peter Green just sent me a note saying that you're getting buffering, but YouTube does not show any buffering, so I'm going to continue on. Oh. Well, Peter Green is sending me notes here. I'm going to have Peter call in. He says that the mic is fluttering. I don't know. Maybe there are no dropped frames, and the bar graph which they show here looks fine. So let's see. Somebody else says the same thing. Connection is very bad. It says camera, audio choppy again. Oh my goodness. I think it's just now the audio has gotten better. Sometimes it's choppy. Maybe if power cord is not plugged in all the way well. I could try another port in the back. This is crazy. Maybe I should just do another video some other time. Well, if you people are patient enough, you don't mind looking at a blank screen. Everybody says audio problems. Sayaku says audio got bad again. Well, I don't know why I bother to do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to try. I will try a different port, everybody. Let me try. Well, I just put it in another port. Does that seem to make any difference? Because YouTube says there's no problem. The sound is going out. The sound is going out. Okay, it's just that it's not bad. Red Wolf says just fixed itself. Well, okay. Pieta says now it's fine. Fix it, William, and we will wait. Says curb stop. All right. Well, let me know. I can see the chat over here, so Sayako says, do what you have to do. We are not impatient, Mr. William. Thanks, Sayako. All right. What does Peter say? Peter's sending me notes all the time saying the same thing. All right. Well, let me go ahead here. Where am I up here? I'm up to slide number 5, which I just showed you. Oh, you know what I just didn't know? Just a minute. I unplugged the mouse when I found a good port. Pam says sound is buffering. Just a minute, people. Up out of the earth. That means they represent, as I say, both a king and a kingdom. And there is a fourth and final beast. And we will see that also in Amanda's dream, which is not in Dana Coverstone's dream. Kind of interesting. Okay, now, it's interesting also that when she sees the bear with the 3 ribs in his mouth, what does she say? What's the word that she says? She's freaking out. Is that the phrase she says? Oh, yeah. When it is standing up, I freaked out and dropped the baby bear. Well, I think that's what she's supposed to do. The 3 ribs, that's a reference to a true prophecy, a very important prophecy, still impertinent to our own time. The baby bear that she picked up was nothing. I think that refers to her ASMR videos. And that's what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to drop those ASMR videos and concentrate on prophecy. And I think the Lord will give her true prophecy. I think she has a calling. But she's got to get rid of her ASMR, New Age stuff. All right, now let me get to the next part of her dream. When I open the door of the shed, instead of being a regular shed, it is not a regular shed. It's way bigger, and instead of a floor, there is a hole, a very deep hole. And between the entrance and the back of the shed, there is a plank, and this plank is like a bridge. So I start to crawl on my hands and feet, trying to pass to the other side. And my husband is right behind me. When I go in the middle, and I'm right in the middle of this passage, this huge bear shows up in front of me. So now she's confronting a 3rd bear. I suspect that this bear is even bigger than the other 2, and I think that this is the first bear, I'm sure, is Russia. Before the 3 ribs are in its mouth, it's invading America. It's sneaking through the open gate. The second expression of the bear with the ribs in its mouth, that's the bear in Daniel. And the 3 ribs indicate that the bear has swallowed all 3 of the beasts. It's getting bigger, in other words. And now this bear is quite different, as we'll see. Well, let me get to the next slide. Oh, just a minute. I think this is the next one. Oh, yeah. And it was that I saw and understood. That's not a regular bear, because this bear in particular had the face of an old man. He had the face of an old man, and he spoke like a man. And he was saying, "Oh, I'm going to get you." And he was saying it like in a very lascivious way. Lascivious way. You know, like he was going to attack me physically, sensually, if you get what I'm saying. When he says that, I said, "What?" And then the bear said, looking straight at me, and said, "I don't want anything to do with you, lady." He said that. He called me lady and everything. So, another strange twist and turn to this story. And the old man, the face of the old man, that would represent Satan. It represents a king and a kingdom, as I've said. In this case, the bear is a king and a kingdom, just like in Daniel. And it's old because it represents evil. And this was true in Dana's dream about the three dragons. Remember? The red dragon, which Sherry Goff did not understand, represents Satan. And one of his characteristics is that he's old. And that's true in this case. So this is this last personification of the devil after it is assimilated. In other words, it's the one world communist tyranny or at least the beginning of it, as we will see in just a minute. Okay, let's look at the next slide. I don't want anything to do with you, lady. I'm going to get him. And him was my husband, who was right behind me. And immediately I thought of Sodom and Gomorrah, where the angels were hidden in Lot's house. And Lot was like, can you guys stop? And the guys there wanted the person behind Lot, who was an angel. And then when he said that, I said, well, I didn't say anything. I just did this, not even a slap. I just touched him. And when I did this and I touched him, he lost his balance and he fell through the cracks on each side of the plank and he fell. Now, I'm not quite sure what the reference to Sodom and Gomorrah is. I don't think of Sodom and Gomorrah of Russia, communist Russia. Yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah. I would think maybe America more so, or Britain. Maybe it's just to indicate that this is an end times prophecy. Jesus said it would be as in the days of Lot. But it's interesting that this huge bear, which the largest of the three bears in which he's freaked out about, is very easily defeated. And we're going to find that that's very much the same as in Dana Coverstone's dream. So now let me get to the next slide. When he was falling, my husband, who was cool as a cucumber, like nothing's happening, my husband's an American, by the way, and he tells me, well, sometimes you just need to do a little bit of a push, and then gravity does the rest. And it's going to be a fast and quick death. And I'm like, I just look at him, and he just said that to me. Then I closed the door of the shed, and I start to peek through the door like I'm spying. And I'm just peeking through the door and looking outside in my garden, my backyard. So as I said, this defeat of the bear is surprisingly easy. All Amanda has to do is to give it a little push. She said she hardly touched the bear. It fell over, fell down into this deep hole. And gravity, which represents, I think, the force of God, does the rest. And here is probably the most important part of her dream coming up. Next slide. And there is this bunch of people wrapping things up in sheets and unwrapping things up. And first of all, I thought, maybe these are spoils. Spoils of what? They are bringing new things. They're going to build something here in the backyard. That's when I wake up. Or then when I wake up, after I saw this movement of people, unwrapping things, wrapping things, putting things together like this. I don't know. They were creating something. So here's another mystery for Amanda. She can't figure out what these are. The Lord is going to explain it to her in a minute. Now remember, in Daniel, there are the three beasts: the lion, the bear, and the leopard. The lioness, I should say. But in this dream now, the bear, which which, as we should know, has assimilated all three beasts, is toppled very easily. But as I said, in Daniel, there is a fourth and final beast. And that is what these people who are wrapping and unwrapping things in her yard represent. Okay, here's the next slide. When I wake up, I received the understanding, what were they doing? They were actually building a stage, like when you build a stage and you have to build the scenarios and stuff like that. They were creating a stage. And when I wake up bright and early, the Lord starts to teach me the symbolism of this dream. My house was the United States, and that's why it's so important. It was this house. I never dream of this house. So it's kind of interesting that the Lord is explaining. As I say, the Lord never explains to Daniel what his dreams are about. Of course, that's my job. That's true apocalyptic prophecy. This is partially apocalyptic. I've never run across this kind of prophecy where the Lord explains it to her. So she says, she says the Lord explained to her that her house represents America. And the bear, of course, entering her house symbolizes the bear coming through our broken borders. Okay, let's look at the next slide. And this house is near Philadelphia and the frontiers. The walls around my house, it was like the frontiers or borders of the United States, and one is broken. That's through which the bears are going to come. The bear is Russia, and Russia is going to sneak in, and then it's going to come even further, more stronger, destroying and eating the spoil. Okay, so actually that interpretation is all fairly easy to understand, and the Lord is explaining it to her. The Lord does not explain to her what Daniel, the reference to Daniel, which I think is kind of interesting. Okay, let's look at the next slide. Just a minute here. Slide 14. And I saw the spirit behind that. It was the spirit that showed up in the bear with the face of the man. It was an old spirit. And this spirit wanted my husband, who is an American, and I'm not an American. He wanted the American guy. And the spirit of lasciviousness. It's like he wanted to degrade, humiliate, destroy, and possess. That's what he wanted to do towards my husband. And I guess you could say that. In the Bible, the North is depicted as, the king of the North is depicted as cruel, unmerciful. And I think if we ever have this World War III with Russia, we're going to find that out. And the Russians take no prisoners. They never have. They don't follow rules of war. And I've been watching some of the videos on the end of World War II, and the Germans all were in a mad dash to surrender to the Americans rather than to the Russians. They knew they had with the Russians, their future was very iffy. Okay, let's look at the next slide. And the Lord impressed into my heart that I symbolized the church, the praying church. And the church is the one who's going to just move a little bit. And because the church moves a little bit, God is going to do the rest. And the power of God is going to bring this entity down. And it's going to be a quick fall and quick destruction. Well, now we're getting into Dana Coverstone territory. Remember, in the 2022 jet stream, the wall that is built between Russia and Ukraine, it's 100 feet high. The lights are 500 feet high. The turrets are 50 feet high. And Dana uses the word bright 5 times. Bright, 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 bright. And we know, of course, 555 is Mary's number. So when Amanda tips over this bear, she represents, as I said at the beginning, both the church and Mary. She represents 555. Now, I've looked through this dream and I can't find the number 5 anywhere. That's why I say that Mary is represented by Amanda herself. And it ties into Kim Clement's prophecy. Okay, let me continue on here. It's interesting, by the way, Dana Coverstone, I don't know if you know this, but his 2022 jet stream, there was a technical problem at the end of it. I mean, he has technical problems too, but he has so few compared to me. I'd like to have his technical problems. Anyway, he lost audio on some of his video completely towards the end. So he took the whole thing down and he reloaded it. Well, he should never, ever have done that. He left out 3 of the most important numerologies. He left out that he'd had the same dream 13 nights in a row. He left that out completely. By the way, Dana had his dream. The last dream was the 19th, and Amanda had her dream on the 24th. Very, very close together. Dana left out all of the wall dimensions, the 500 feet of the lights, the 50 feet of the turrets, and he did not mention bright 5 times like he did before. That's 555. And he left out the time that he looked at on his watch for the vision. That's extremely important. The time was 2:15. And I suggested that that is February 15th. In other words, 10, 12 days from now. It's going to be very quick to see if I'm right on this, because we'll know very soon. Let me see here where I am here. Where is the next slide? I think this is the next one. But what the Lord really impressed into my heart when I spied through the little door on the shed, and I saw that stage, and the Lord said they are creating a stage. They are setting up a stage. I was so overwhelmed by the bears and trying to figure out what's going on. And while I was overwhelmed by the bears, they were setting up a stage for something way bigger. Well, I couldn't agree more with Amanda on this. Everybody's right now is thinking about Russia and Ukraine, and there's no doubt Brandon is trying to start a war. And he's sending troops over to Europe. Can you imagine that? And what Amanda is saying is that the Lord is telling her that behind the scenes, the one world government is planning far worse things. And they will take over, of course. The one world tyranny is a communist tyranny. And all three kings, the lioness, the bear, and the leopard, will be incorporated in the final beast, the fourth and final beast, which is run by the antichrist. That is what these people out in the yard, that's what that refers to. Okay, let me get to the next slide here. I think I have one more slide. Oh yeah, this is the last slide. And then the Lord told me, just pay attention to what they are setting up. The bear invasion, this whole thing is a cover-up. This whole thing is going to pass real quickly. And it's a cover-up for what they're doing behind closed doors. That stage, they are setting up for the Antichrist. And that's the interpretation that the Lord gave me. Notice she says it's going to pass. What did she say? It's going to pass real quickly. I want to get the phrase just right. The whole thing is going to pass real quickly. Well, that corresponds exactly with Dana Coverstone's watch of 2:15. In other words, February the 15th. So I have a feeling that Amanda's dream and Dana's dream dovetail on this point, that this problem with the Russia-Ukraine problem is going to be over with very quickly, if I'm right about this. And you'll find out if I'm right or not. The second part of Dana's dream, in other words, the March part, where the sky gets cloudy, Amanda doesn't seem to see that part of it, which I think has to do with Israel. And the last part of the dream, the September part of Dana's dream, where the sky gets black, and which has to do with an attack on the United States. That's why the jets go straight up. Amanda does not get into that either. So I think that's all I wanted to go over with. I didn't mention the attack on Israel, and I don't have to go over that. I think I went over that pretty well in when I decoded Dana's dream. No, I can't think of the name of it. Well, I went over through it about Esther and Purim, and that crowd crush that they had, Mount Meron. There it is. That's what I'm trying to think of. But I went over that before, so I think that's coming up. I think. Well, I'm sticking my neck out here because I'm saying that around February 15th, 2:15. That's why it was on his watch. But he said around that time. He didn't say exactly 2:15. 15, of course, is a Marian number, 555. He said around 2:15, there will be a wall, which is also 555 in his dream, between the two sides, between Ukraine and Russia. And that will be the toppling of Russia as a power, as we find that with Amanda. As I say, as a power, it's not, they can still they will still swallow up all three beasts. So I think that's everything I guess I wanted to say on here. As I say, let's see, 9 days from now is the 15th. Around the 15th, Dana says. So I think we can see the fulfillment of Amanda's dream, where the bear is tipped over with a feather by the church. Remember, Amanda says she represents the church. God, the Lord tells Amanda she represents the church. This would be the remnant church. And I say that her face shows that she also represents Mary. That's with her huge eyes, round eyes. She represents Esther. That's the connection between Dana and Amanda's dream and Kim Clement's vision. So I hope, if you ever watch this, Amanda, I hope that you give up your ASMR or whatever those silly videos are, and I hope that you do prophecy videos. Talk about Daniel. The Lord referred to Daniel in your dream. He did not explain that part of it to you, which I thought was interesting. He explained all the rest, or just about all the rest. Okay, I think that's all I have, people. And I don't know if you want to talk about the stream, but if you have other things you want to talk about, what time is it? Okay, so Sam is coming up in an hour from now, as you know, giving a live stream on his channel. Not on this channel. He's on D-Live. So I suppose I can take a look and see what everybody's talking about. I hope the sound turned out, because right now the sound looks pretty good, but I don't know. I don't know if I should go through all this chat or not. Peter Preen says, if I remember, someone had a dream of a bear with ribs in his mouth around the same time that Ruth Ginsburg died. Oh, no kidding. I didn't hear about that. Let's see. Joyce is here. Alyssa, Adam and Nancy, Tina, Sam is here. Excellent thumbnail picture. It has the 3 ribs and everything. Yes, all I do, if I want to get a good picture, I go to Google and I type in images, and you'll usually get quite a few good pictures. Karen is here. Carolyn Couch. Tina says so. I wonder if everybody said we had no sound, and I found it. And thanks to Peter Preen for calling in, because I wasn't watching the chat, and I don't know whether maybe I'll do this video again. If I'll look through it over again and see how bad it is. Snowland says, I'll never show my face. I'm too shy. Oh, come on, Snowland. I bet you never thought you would be on this program either. And now you've called in several times, so, I'll tell you one thing. If you do send in your picture, I will definitely show it. So you better not send it in. Let's see. Mike Harrington says, I love it when you do these extra programs. I would do a lot more of these extra programs. I mean, this is really my calling as a co-prophet. I'm not called to actually do the rosary. I mean, I like doing the rosary, but it's not really. Oh, Dale Fote says this is a headband. Okay, well, I'm sure you ladies are better off knowing what this is. A headband. Yeah, it is a headband. No, that's true. Okay. But I don't think, if you look at her other videos, I don't think, I shouldn't say, I haven't watched enough of her videos to really make any kind of a decision. But I don't remember seeing that particular headband before. Alyssa says she's from Brazil. Yes, I did read that. Roses for BVM says, usually preceded by D. Common names where I live pronounced Freitas. Oh, it's Freitas instead of Freitas? I heard someone else say Freitas, and so I just did the same thing. And I know I looked up Amanda Freitas on YouTube, and 15 or 20 channels came up, so it must be a fairly common name. Okay, let me see. Sayaku says, God bless to all. I just got here. Welcome aboard, Sayaku. I know you and your sister and family are going through a hard time right now. JB says, I know. I'm a Portuguese living in Brazil. Oh, okay. So JB knows all about Rosa for BVM says, I have Portuguese ancestry myself. I think she looks very Portuguese, wouldn't you say? Notice her huge eyes compared to her weak chin. And I think the Lord chose her. I mean, the Lord usually chooses old, ugly guys with white hair and beard like me. And I used to complain to the Lord. I said, Lord, why don't you get some attractive young lady to do this instead of me? You'll have more people paying attention. But now I think he chose Amanda for this particular message for a real purpose. In other words, there's no numerology in this that I could discover in this dream, which is very unusual. It's also unusual that the Lord decoded half of it for her. And there's no doubt that her eyes are large and round. And what was the other thing he said? Large, beautiful, round. And which fulfills Kim Clement's image to the T. Carolyn says connection is very bad. Well, I don't know. Snowlight says, William, you're in a tunnel. I cannot hear what you mean at times. Well, that was when at the beginning, I hope. I hope that's fixed now. Oh, dear. Curb Stomp says she takes care of a wounded Russian soldier. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Curb Stomp says, or takes one to waterboard. I don't know. Red Wolf, Sayaku. Oh, but a lot of people commenting on the sound. I don't know what to say about that. Maybe I need a new computer. This computer is quite old. It's a really good computer, but if the ports are all bad, you might as well get a new one. Mike Harrington says, sounds great here in South Mississippi. Curb Stomp says, the ribs in the mouth as the bear is devouring. Yes, I think most people understand that. But most people don't realize that one of the ribs that the bear is devouring is the rib itself. Is the bear itself. In other words, the bear devours the first three beasts: the lioness, the bear, and the leopard, America. And that's why in Amanda's dream it keeps getting bigger. Curb Stomp says, I've seen an intel report saying Russia has plans to invade America through Alaska. Let's see. Curb Stomp says, I no longer think of country versus country. It's criminal cabal versus the people. Well, that would go along with Amanda's dream of the people in her yard creating a stage. And the stage would infer that it's all artificial, that it's a game, so to speak. That it's theater. It's all theater. Okay, let me see. Let's see. Pam says that the U.S. is being invaded through our southern border. It's obvious to everybody else, isn't it? Well, that's what Brandon is doing. Let's see. Curb Stomp says the Chinese have 80,000 troops in Panama that could easily be moved. Yeah, that was another betrayal of this country, and that was Jimmy Carter's doing. Jimmy Carter started this whole idea of Democrats getting their campaigns funded by the Chinese communists. And he did it by giving them the Panama Canal. I'm surprised he didn't take more grief than that. Okay, I think I'll just I'm not sure what everybody's saying here. I think I'll just let you read everybody else's because we're way over time. I don't like to go over an hour. Curb Stomp says it's the synagogue of Satan versus mankind. Well, the synagogue of Satan is part of it, but that's not the whole thing. Giuseppe says, well done, William. Well, I hope the first part, I hope you heard that. And May Sampson says the headband matches her earrings. Yes, that's true. I think you're right about that. Tina says, the thing is, Mr. T, we have new people here. Oh, yeah, you know, as long as we have new people, I should give you my address. Thanks for reminding me, Tina. Yeah, I should always have new people. There's my address if you'd like to contact me. William Tapley, Post Office Box 291, Osage, Iowa 50461. I won't burden you with my books, though, because I want to cut this off real soon here. John Paul says, Sir William, I just got here, but how do you assess the current stimulation of politics? Well, I believe that all the leaders of the world are sons of Haman. In other words, they are the Bible says that they are the 10 kings of the Antichrist. The Antichrist has 10 kings. They are also symbolized by the 10 sons of Haman in the book of Esther, which means don't fight them because they're appointed by God. God appoints the Antichrist and the false prophet. And I'm sure he appoints the leaders of the world. And it's a punishment for us, for one thing. We don't deserve any better. We don't deserve any better than Trudeau or Brandon. And I advise you truckers in Canada, even though you're doing a wonderful thing and you're making a great sacrifice, don't go any further. Because these people are ruthless. They're not. It's just like the Americans who are trapped in the gulag in Washington, D.C. Americans are supposed to have, it's one of your rights is to have a speedy trial. They're not having speedy trials. Okay. Oh, by the way, Pro-Life for Mankind, Ellie Hansack sent me an email. She said that her video was taken down because of one word, the JAV word. And I told her, I said, that's why I spell it out. So all of our freedoms are taken away. Sam says, show your books, man. Okay, Sam. I mean, I don't mind showing them. Well, there may be someone there who doesn't have my books. So if you are interested in my Holy Spirit Guide to End Times Prophecy, there are 4 books, 4 volumes. Go to my website, thirdeaglemedia.com. Look at the newsletter tab. Under the newsletter tab is a July newsletter, and there's an order form, the second page. And if you would like to order these books right away, go to the donate button and click on the PayPal link, and I will send them out to you right away. Okay, thanks, Sam, for letting me know I should do that. Okay, I think that's all. We can talk about this tomorrow morning after the chat at the Rosary. I will be back tomorrow morning, same time, same station, with a live Rosary. And Sam, of course, is going to have a live Rosary less than an hour from now here over on D-Live. So until I see all of you again, may God bless all of you. And may all of you have a very blessed evening.